Welcome to today's tutorial. So in this tutorial we are going to discuss the modulus or the magnitude of a vector. So how do you calculate the modulus, or how do you calculate the magnitude of any given vector? So it's simple. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure that you click on the subscription button, and if you need any help in mathematics, physics, chemistry, or biology, feel free to contact me using these lines on the screen. And don't forget to click on the notification button so that you don't miss out the videos that I'm going to be posting. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'll help you as soon as I see it. Alright, so let's quickly begin to learn how to how to calculate the magnitude or the modulus of a vector. Alright, so the modulus of a vector is simply just its size, the size of the vector in short. So if you have been given the vector OA, I like using OA. If the vector OA is equal to AI plus BJ, then you've been asked to find the magnitude of OA. So the magnitude of the vector OA is simply just given by the square root of A squared plus B squared. So if OA is a 3D vector, so what I'm doing is I'm tackling both 2D and 3D at once. So if OA is a 3D vector, meaning it has three components, X, Y, and Z components. So if OA has three components, to find its magnitude, so you just do the same. So you are going to have A squared plus B squared plus C squared. Then you find the square root of that. That's the magnitude of a vector. Alright, so we have one part of vectors which utilizes the magnitude throughout, in short. So which part is this? There's this part known as the unit vector. So how do you find the unit vector of any given vector? Or before I even go there, what is a unit vector? So a unit vector is simply just a vector which has the magnitude equal to 1. So if you find the magnitude of a vector is equal to 1, you have to know that that vector you are dealing with is known as the unit vector. Alright, so the vector whose magnitude is equal to 1 is known as the unit vector. Alright, so let us see how we can find how we can find the magnitudes of these given vectors here, and their unit vectors. So before I start calculating, let me show you the representation of a unit vector. So if you have been given the vector u, and they've asked you to find the unit vector of u. So the unit vector of u is represented by u cap, and this is equal to you write u there and then divided by the magnitude of u. So u divided by the vector u divided by the magnitude of the vector u gives us what is known as the unit vector. So if you have been given the vector u as ai plus bj, the unit vector in the direction of u is equal to, so the unit vector in the direction of u will be equal to ai plus bj over, remember what we said, the magnitude of u, we said this will be equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared, and this is what we are going to put under there as the denominator. So this is how you find the unit vector of any given vector. This is the unit vector. So if they ask you to find the magnitude of a unit vector, meaning you find the magnitude of this, meaning you are going to find the magnitude of this after finding that. And then after doing that, after doing all the calculations in these absolute value symbols, you discover that the answer will be 1. So the magnitude of any unit vector should always give you the answer as 1. Alright, so let's quickly move on to solving questions. Alright, so we have this question on the screen which says find the following. So the first part there is asking us to find the magnitude of u. So we have 3 u's here. So I'm going to find the magnitude of the first u and the second u. And you find the magnitude of the first u and the last u there. So the first one here and the last one. Yes, I'll find the first one, the second one, and this one there. And then you find the magnitude of v. Yeah, so I'll find the magnitudes of u and you find the magnitudes of v. When you find the magnitudes of v, in case you are doubting your answers, you can simply just contact me on any of these lines on the screen. I'll respond as soon as possible. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Alright, so let's quickly find the magnitudes, and then from there there's this part of addition of vectors. So when you're adding 2 or more vectors, you simply just add their corresponding components. Yeah, and then there's this part of finding the unit vectors, and you find the magnitude of these unit vectors. Alright, so let's quickly move on to solving. So alright, so let me just change the color. Alright, so we start. Vector u has been given to be. Remember what I told you in the first video, that when you have these kinds of brackets, then this represents a vector, but if you are using parentheses, it represents a point. Alright, so we have 1, -1, and our vector u is therefore going to be equal to, the magnitude of the vector u is therefore going to be equal to the square root of what? 1 squared plus -1 squared. So the magnitude of u is therefore going to be the square root of what? 1 squared is 1, -1 squared gives us 1. So the magnitude of u gives us what? The square root of 2. I'm moving to the next u there. So u, so we have u there. Okay, so let me not solve this one. I'll choose the 3D u. I'll get the one that is in 3 dimension. So we have u. Okay, so let me get the one that is in 3D. Or I'll start first by solving the one that is in 2D, then we'll move on to 3D. So let me get this one. So we have u is equal to 4i minus j. So the magnitude of this vector u will therefore be equal to 4 squared, and then plus, that one is -1. The coefficient of j there is -1. We also square it. So we have this being equal to 16 plus 1. And the magnitude of the vector u gives us what? The root of 17. Alright, so let's quickly move on to the one that is in 3D. So we have this u which is in 3D of 1, 2, -3. So the vector u is equal to that. The magnitude of this vector u is therefore given by 1 squared plus 2 squared plus -3 squared. So the magnitude of this vector u is therefore going to be 1 plus 4 plus 9. So 1 plus 4 gives us 5 plus 9 gives us 14. So we have 1 plus 4 plus 9. So, okay. So the magnitude of this u gives us what? The square root of 14. Okay, so let me also get one. So the ones that I'm leaving, you can simply just solve them. Yeah, you can simply just solve them you can solve them and then send the solutions. I check through the solutions. Don't worry about me, I'm tired. So, alright, so this is the magnitude of u. We move on to u, the one that is in 3D and in Cartesian form. So the magnitude of this one here, we say the square root of 2 squared plus negative 4 squared plus 4 squared. So the magnitude of this u gives us the root of 4 plus 16 plus 16. So the magnitude of this u is therefore going to be, we have 36, which is the square root of what? 36. So the magnitude of u is giving us 6 as the solution. Okay. So 6 is the magnitude of this u. Right, let's move on to the second part. So the magnitudes of v, you find them in a similar way I found the magnitudes of u. So let's move on to finding the what's this addition of u and v, and then find the magnitude. So I'll get this one here because it's one that looks okay. Let me start with the first one. I'll start with u and v from the first question there. So so u has been given and v has been given. So let's add u and v. So we have this one, we add the corresponding the corresponding component. So we have 1 and negative 1. So we add 1 plus negative 1 and negative 1 plus 2, because we're adding v and u. So we say comma. We're saying negative 1 plus 2. So this part will give us a 0. So comma, this will give us a 1. So what do we do? Sorry, this one is supposed to be that. Okay, so this is a vector that we have found. So now we find the magnitude of this vector. So the magnitude will be the square root of 0 squared plus 1 squared. And this will give us 0 plus 1 is the square root of 1, which still gives you 1. So the magnitude of u plus v is simply just 1. Okay, let's move on to D. So D is asking us to find the magnitude of the unit vector of u. So the unit vector in the direction of u is given by, so the unit vector in the direction of u is given by u over the magnitude of u. So now how do you find this? So we first have to find the magnitude of u. So the magnitude of u, we found it already, but I'll do it for the sake of understanding. So I'll do it, let me just pick any set here. So I'll pick this set. So the magnitude of u, if I pick number 4, the magnitude of u will be the square root of 1 squared plus 2 squared plus negative 3 squared. The magnitude of u is therefore going to be the root of 1 plus 4 plus 9. So when you add these, you get the square root of 14. So the magnitude of u simply just the square root of 14. So the square root of 14, that's the magnitude of u. So now let us find the modulus value, or the absolute value, or the magnitude of this same unit vector. That's what D is asking us to find there. So on top there, sorry, this is just the magnitude of u. Let us find the unit vector first before we find the magnitude. So before we find the magnitude, let's finish finding the unit vector. So the unit vector in the direction of u is given by, so we have the vector u. The vector u is I plus 2j minus 3k. Then we're dividing this by the root of 14. So now, to find the absolute value of the magnitude of u, or the modulus value of the magnitude of u, we simply find the magnitude value of this vector. So we can split these components. So I can say 1 over the root of 14i plus 2 over the root of 14j plus minus 3 over the root of 14k. So this is not the magnitude, rather this is just a unit vector. I've just splitted the terms. Right, so now to find the magnitude of that, so we say the square root of 1 over the root of 14 squared plus 2 over the root of 14 squared plus negative 3 over the root of 14 squared. Okay. Alright, so we'll quickly find the solution for this. So this is now the magnitude. So the magnitude of the unit vector in the direction of u is therefore going to be equal to so 1 squared will give us 1, the root of 14 squared will give us 14, plus 2 squared will give us 4, the root of 14 will give us 14, the square root of 14 squared will give us 14. Then we have plus 3 squared will give us 9, over the root of 14 squared will give us 14. So finding the square root of this. So when you add, the denominator is the same, so we can just write it there. When you add 1 plus 4 plus 9, you're getting 14. So the square root of 14 over 14. So the square root of 14 over 14 gives us 1. The square root of 1 is 1. So remember what I told you. I told you that the magnitude of the unit vector is always 1. So make sure that even the answer that you are going to find on E should be 1. So the solution of E should be equal to 1. The solution of D should be equal to 1 for all these questions that you've been given. Alright, so if you have any questions that you want to ask me, feel free to contact me on any of these lines on the screen. And don't forget to click on the subscription button and click the notification button so that you don't miss out the videos that I'm going to be posting. If you need lessons in math, physics, chemistry, and biology, feel free to contact me using these lines on the screen. My name is Harmtedy. Shalom, shalom.